I'm still looking at the birds. I'm
Yeah.
distracted. There's a seagull. Oh, it's not a seagull. It's a herring gull.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as a seagull.
All right. Chris
Apart from
Packham.
Steven Seagal.
We are the Holocaust.
Welcome to We Are the Holocaust.
Hello, Bouncy.
Hello, Rob.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Where are we?
In my garden.
I've never been in your garden.
Have you not?
I've been in your house, but never your garden.
You've just been in the house to get to the garden, so yeah.
Yeah, well, we had to come out in the garden because Spring Watch is on in the TV.
Spring Watch is on the TV.
We don't want bird noises and nature getting into the
That's why we
recording.
brought the cat out with us to keep the birds away, you see.
Well, what a week that's been.
Yes, very exciting.
Fallout trailer, which we'll discuss in length, I'm sure, because we both got very excited. You ate a nuclear candle.
I did. Big red one.
And I watched it 3 times in 10 minutes, which is pretty much the most amount of times you can watch it in 10 minutes.
I feel like I've had the adult version of Too Much Sugar for a Toddler. Because this week's Game of Thrones episode was rather good. And then came the Fallout 4 trailer.
And Sepp Blatter stepped down.
And Sepp Blatter stepped down.
And there was something else as well. Oh, Steam offering refunds on games if you within the first 14 days, if you haven't played them for more than 3 hours, I think.
You think they're shit.
But I worry a little bit about how it's going to affect indie games that take 2 hours to complete.
Other short ones, yeah.
Because you could feasibly say...
There must be a caveat for stuff like that.
I just think there should be an achievement. So Steam should put in an achievement that's at like 20% of the game. It's like, if you've got this 20% done, then you can't get a refund.
Yeah.
Because that's undeniable. Then you can say, there, bang.
That makes sense.
But I'm sure they'll figure it out.
I'm sure
Thomas
they will.
Was alone has made Mike Bithell $1 million in sales. But theoretically, everyone could have played that and never paid for it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of piracy friendly in that nobody's going to pirate games anymore. But also no one will get paid for the games. So we will see.
I like the idea behind it.
I think it's really good on big AAA titles. If
Yeah.
they're very disappointing, you could literally go, okay, I spent 40 quid on that game. Now I don't want it.
Yep.
It's terrible. Because you do get that with some games. Like Walking Dead Survival Instinct.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever played that for more than 3 hours.
I think the Game of Thrones game that came out a couple of years ago on the Xbox, I was very disappointed with that.
Yeah.
I don't think I played a lot of that. It
No. And
annoyed me too much.
Yeah, and so you could have therefore got a refund on it, and then you would have been happy. But there you go. So this week, mostly apocalyptic stuff.
Yes. Strange that.
Yeah, well, we do want to set the world on fire.
Like that. That's good.
Yeah, I was working on that. I was trying to remember what the name of the song was at the beginning of the Fallout 4 trailer, but it started off very similar, and I was like, oh, and it did something different. I was like, oh.
I did wonder. There was the moment you have that notice, like, how many bars can you get in this tune? And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
But it was good because it played on nostalgia and gave you something new, which is what
You
Fallout
wanted,
does.
really, yeah.
But we'll talk about that later.
We will.
Up until now, though, we're going to be talking what we've been playing, what we've been doing, a little bit of news, then we'll get on to
Then we'll
Fallout.
do Fallout.
Right. So, what have you been playing this week, Robert?
I went back to Mass Effect for a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting closer to the nacho.
We're closer to the
Hat.
nacho hat. You brought your Pringle tortillas around. You've obviously come round to
Just
them.
as a reminder, because what was in the garden, where we're going to have the celebratory barbecue, where I present the nacho
There's a
hat.
barbecue over there.
So the barbecue's there, some nachos are here.
So I nudged myself a little bit further forward on that one. Granted, not a huge amount further forward, but just sort of chipped in, dipped in. Most of the time, as usual, it's been Destiny-based, which is nothing new. Did conquer level 34 this time.
Oh, on the Prisoner's Elders?
Yes.
Right.
Obviously, we had some problems last time. It was a pretty difficult boss fight,
Yep.
and then we had the errors. So
Weasels.
Yes. So
Which you
you're
never
kind of
really
fighting-
explained fully. You just went, damn weasel.
Well,
And I thought for a moment, I thought there might
I bought
have
a
been
weasel
a
and it
weasel.
chewed through the Xbox cable or something.
Well, you'd never know, do you?
A colleague did find that his rabbit had chewed through the power cord of his Xbox, so
Could have
there is
been
a precedent
weasels.
for it.
It could have been a weasel.
But
involved.
the error codes are all weird animal names. And I got weaseled twice.
I figured it out after I was weaseled
You see.
when I played a game. Did you see that some people were using an exploit to boot people from the Trials of Osiris?
Yes.
Which made me wonder whether the two may be related
Well,
a little bit, because if
it's
people
hard
have
to
found
say.
a way of deliberately kicking somebody off of a server, I mean, I know Destiny have reacted to it, and I've said, look, if
They
you've
have.
done it, you're going to be permanently banned if you're the bad offender, and if you've done it just once, it's a slap on the wrist.
But yeah, so a little bit of that. Got our level 34 done, which is very satisfying.
Team Beard, he's no more.
Team Beard. Then Digital Flares chipped in. He's like, I don't have a beard, and it's like, okay. So it's an empty fair step with Team Mostly Beardy, I think, was his response, which is fair.
I saw you with Team Hairy Bum.
Team Hairy Bum didn't go down well either with her. I don't know why.
It's almost like
women. You see, women ruin everything in games.
Yeah, can't just grow a beard and get on like the rest of us. And yet, when they're old and they've got beards, they don't want you to mention it then either.
Terrible.
Oh,
they're pleasing some people, isn't there?
She makes a banana curry pizza or whatever it is. I keep hearing about, and every time I keep imagining that it's something that it's not, but I'm sure it is a banana curry pizza. Keeps talking about it.
Yep.
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
So, I've seen pictures of what could be a banana curry pizza, but until that's in front of me, in my face, then we don't know. But I am hoping.
Don't know.
I keep meaning to see if we can go down and see them sometimes. So maybe we'll have to do a couple of Holocaust on the roads or something, or just, I don't know,
turn up at people's houses.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, drop us a line at wheelholocaust@gmail.com. Give us your home address.
And we'll turn up at
and
your
some
house one
petrol
day.
money, and we will come to
And
you.
some petrol money.
Well, yeah, come on.
You also have to put us up for the night and feed us.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily accommodate, but, if you want to, that would be nice. Banana curry pizza and a airbed would be enough. Or just a drink of water in a bowl outside.
Just your bed, you can sleep on the floor, it'll be fine.
No, I don't. No, our listeners, would you want to sleep in their beds?
No, that's true. I've met
That's going to be some sordid beddery right there. I bet at least one person listening to this right now has got a Chemical Elements duvet cover.
Probably.
I will put money on that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm not criticising that.
Yeah.
I want the Chemical Elements shower curtain.
Wow.
But,
I wonder how many of them have got socks so stiff they could be used as boomerangs.
Not me. Not me.
So what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing 2 games primarily.
Ooh.
I have played some Destiny.
Yep.
Didn't get on too well with it. Kept getting kicked off. And I still haven't got high enough level to do anything fun. But Welshbeck has been in touch, and he will play with me. Volunteered himself as a willing orifice for my gaming dong. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that one. So
uncomfortable at this point.
Hopefully, I will get something played with him if I could get away from that bloody cinema while working.
Yeah.
Which I've been there. I was there for 1 day, and I was given a promotion.
Yeah.
2 days, and they won a TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence.
Oh.
So I think I'd like to think they hired the right person for the job, because
Did they hire someone else then?
No, no. But if there's ever a situation, if there's ever a situation where that comes up, I'll make sure you do not get offered the job.
Excellent.
Because you wouldn't want me as your boss, would you? Right. So I've been playing 2 games, both on the laptop, both on the Falcon.
On the Falcon.
Playing them gloriously. Clicking Heroes, I played a lot of. Clicking Heroes. Did you ever play Cookie Clicker?
No.
Well, you're aware of Cookie Clicker.
Yes.
Everyone was for a while, weren't they?
So.
It was there and then it went. Mm-hmm. And the aim of that was to just click on a cookie loads of times and then buy perks that would auto-click for you and people would get millions.
Click multiple
this is that, but with an RPG element.
Okay.
So you click on a random monster.
Right.
And then you defeat it, and then another one appears, and then once you've done 10, you move to the next stage.
Right.
But they get tougher, so you have to level up your heroes and hire more heroes and get more abilities. It's exactly the same game as Cookie Clicker. It's pointless.
Right.
I have spent almost 150 hours playing this game.
That's a good effort.
I leave it running and come back to it, and I set a little alarm every half an hour that I'm in the house to go back and use my power-ups and use it again. And
so you can literally walk away from this game and leave it?
There's a farming mode. So you can use that. So, imagine if Tapped Out had that. Yeah. That you knew you were going to be busy all day. So it'd automatically collect your Bob clones. And then you come back, and you haven't had to waste time. You've been working. You have important things to do.
It kind of robs the soul of the game.
Well, it's optional. I use it. Don't judge me.
Right. I'm judging you. I'm not going to lie.
I got to level 100. And then there was an option to ascend, basically, which sets you back to 0.
Okay.
And then you could...
So it's a bit like the old Call of Duty perk.
Kind of like that.
Point.
What I didn't realise is level 100 wasn't the last level. There's like 500 levels to go through. So now I'm right back at the beginning with a lot less power, having to work my way back through again. But it's been running for 2 days at home. So hopefully I'm going to go back to a lot of gold to spend.
I mean, level 10 by now.
And but it's... Do you know what? As a thing to just have running in the background or just to pass time, it's an interesting little thing. It's not something that's going to set the world on fire. But it will pass some time. Like I said, it's 150 hours it's been running on my computer. Probably of that, I've played it for about 4 hours sat in front of it, which is still a lot for a little diversionary game. But I've also been playing a game of solitaire. Ooh, pushing the boundaries.
You're going to play Minesweeper next week?
This one is Regency Solitaire.
Right.
Which is solitaire with a plot. Because somebody sat down and thought, now, I'm not the most inventive of people. I'd like to make a game that I could sell. What's popular? What does everybody play? Solitaire. Everybody plays solitaire.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they don't have a storyline. There's no end game. There's no goal. There's no winning. So he created a game. I can't remember the guy's name, but he very kindly sent me a promo copy, so I'm going to help review it, which is good. But basically, Regency Solitaire puts you in the role of a young woman who comes from a poor family, and they've had to sell off everything. I think it is King... Oh, see, if Emma was here, she'd be hot on this. King George... The one that went a bit loopy, and the Prince and Wales
Madness
took
of
over.
King George,
Well, you're in the role of, I think, his sister.
Right.
And so the family's lost all of its money. And so you have to basically go out, a bit like Jane Austen, and find a suitor, and hopefully marry into money.
Okay.
At the same time, of course, you can't go to the ball just in rags, so you play games of solitaire, and then you earn money, which you can then buy things, and you can unlock items and jewellery, and the items and clothes and jewellery give you perks in the game.
Okay.
So it might be you can have an undo. So if you accidentally turn with one card, you can undo it. But you have to earn those perks along the storyline of the game. So you have like a kooky godmother who will get you into this ball, and you do this. It's mad.
Right.
It's mad as a box of sparrows, but... It is, seriously, it does say, look, there is a gap in the market for solitaire of a plot that deals with a Regency period.
Right.
And it's good. I really enjoyed it. Like, it's a game where essentially I'm dressing a woman in finery and playing solitaire.
So it's like the complete opposite of Sam Fox strip poker.
Exactly the opposite, because...
it's also good.
But it's weird solitaire. Like, so it's not just standard solitaire where it's just columns. There'll be like different rows of cards, like in wave shapes and stuff, and star designs. So you do. I mean, it's tough. Some of the setups are some of them are impossible, obviously, because solitaire should be.
Yep.
But if you complete it without using any of the power ups, you get a perfect win.
Right.
And that'll get you more gold. And if you complete it without being perfect, you can get anything from 0 to 3 stars.
Right.
And so those stars then result in how well you've done. Some missions you can't pass unless you've done a certain prerequisite, so you might have to get 2 perfect games.
So it sounds like it's borrowed some elements from other games, like the star system with Angry Birds.
Yeah, exactly.
Countless
this
games.
Is the sort of thing that this will, at some point, I have no doubt this will hit mobile phones and tablets. And when it does, it will be very popular.
Yeah.
Because it's the sort of thing that will appeal to a very wide market. And when, basically, I saw it on Twitter, they were like, look, we're asking for people who would anybody like to review it. And I thought, you know what? Well, why not? I'm going to give it a go. I would never normally have chosen to review a solitaire game. But then I thought, if he's asking for people to review it, he's confident. So, give it a go. And like I said, I really like it. And I would have paid for it.
Yeah.
So, if you like solitaire and or the Regency period, or you've maybe got a partner who is, because a lot of people, and this is not like painting our audience with a wide brush here, but I would say that people who would necessarily go after a Regency era solitaire game, era solitaire game, might not listen to gaming podcasts. They might be more on the casual side of it. But this is a really good game to get them into it, and into the idea of perks and kind of replay systems and point systems and star ratings and stuff. Because there's a reason Angry Birds and Farmville and stuff got popular. Is because they weren't asking too much of the player. They were saying, you know what, let's just do what we do.
Yeah.
And Reed Solitaire does that splendidly. So I can heartily recommend it to people.
Marvellous.
So, yeah, that is pretty much all I've been playing, because I've been very busy.
Yeah.
So what else have you been up to?
I broke out Football Manager again. Watched the German Cup final at the weekend. I'm like, oh, I fancy a game.
I could have done better than that.
Well, so, yeah, pretty much. So I reloaded my Dortmund game of Football Manager and have moved slightly further forward in my now fifth season with the club.
Better than Dortmund themselves, then?
Well, technically, next year in the game is this year in real life.
Right.
So I'm a year behind. But also, by this point, in real life, they've won the league twice in the Cup.
Okay.
Whereas I've only been to the Cup final twice. So, touch and go there.
So you get that. Have you still got the man with the long hair?
The man with the long hair. Which one of the long hair?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember back to what we were talking about before. There was a man who may or may not been a giant.
Oh, this was when my Peterborough game, I signed Andy Carroll.
Oh, yeah.
And I had named.
And I thought it was Dortmund, and you said, no, you
I
don't play as Dortmund.
I had Peterborough and Dortmund game.
You're doing this on... All these people listening are going, oh, he's lost it. He's playing a cookie clicker clone where you just farm it. Then he's playing Solitaire but set the Regency era, and now he can't remember what game of Football Manager his mate plays.
I'm going to really confuse him and start a Blythe Spartans game for next week.
Is that a football team?
Well, obviously, it's Football Manager.
Well, I don't know. You could have been really trying to confuse me there, and it been Eastside Hockey Manager.
No.
You could have just snuck that in.
I haven't played that for a while, actually. But yeah.
I was thinking I haven't seen that on here.
No.
Is it just... Is
I
that
haven't
something
played a lot of PC/Mac based games for a while.
That with the Football Manager thing, you were sparked on by watching the FA Cup?
Yeah, I think that's what...
So
well, it's the German Cup final, not the FA Cup. Important difference, because...
that's an important difference. Yes, because this is the Germans.
No.
But,
that pretty much... That's kind of why I booted it up again.
And would I be right in assuming there isn't an ice hockey season at the moment?
The Stanley Cup final started yesterday.
So maybe that would...
Yeah, maybe.
Nudge you in, because I think sometimes that is the case. Like you'll see stuff like when there's been a film on TV and it makes you want to watch the sequel or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of same sort of thing. So
yeah, similar principle.
Jurassic Park's been on telly a lot. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, weird that.
They've been showing that. I've seen Jurassic Park shown on TV 5 times the last week and a half.
I saw Jurassic Park 2 at the weekend. I watched that again.
I watched the end half an hour of Jurassic Park Lost World with my partner because she's never seen the second two, second and third rather. But we're going to see Jurassic World, hopefully, together. She was terrified by the first one and then wouldn't dare watch the second one and the third. And I was like, that second one's brilliant. It's got like a T-Rex loose in San Diego. Whoa! And there's a man who gets eaten outside Blockbusters. And I'm going to pretend it's my old employers. And it's
You're really winning her over, aren't you, with this argument?
But it was a ridiculous, overblown ending, but it was funny. Especially when that kid looks out of his window and the T-Rex is drinking out of a swimming pool and then it eats the dog. Yeah, I hate dogs.
Oh, that's lucky there's a cat.
I was going to say I'm definitely a cat person. I've ascertained this over the last few weeks. My partner has got a dog.
Right.
And it's one of those dogs that's young and needs discipline.
Right.
And she's had it since a puppy and she's not been giving it a lot of discipline. She took it to puppy training courses, but it's run by the RSPCA. Right. So they're a little bit too if the dog looks sad, just give it a little pet on the head, yeah? Or just tell it to wait. Tell it, don't shout, just tell it. Give it respect, it's an animal. Give it respect. Give that dog respect. Whereas my take on it is, you're a dog.
Chuck the bloody chain, boy!
You're a dog. I am a human. You're a pet. You're not a family member. You do not get to sit on the sofa next to me. You sit on the floor by my feet. You're a pet. And then there's a begrudging respect where the dog will then come to me and I will just give it some stroke. And it knows it's
suddenly you realise it understands English and know everything you just said and you're scared to life.
I only found out when I went under the stairs and there it was with a little laptop writing a dog blog.
Yeah.
Those bloody dog blogs are all over the place.
A blog.
Give the blog a bone. Oh. But yeah, so I've been a little bit disappointed in that dog the last couple of days. So it attacked a cat in the garden.
Right.
And some people say the cat shouldn't have been in the garden. It was defending its territory.
Yeah. Some people say the cat's got the right to roam.
I think.
Including Janet Streetporter.
And John Major. I would say that, yes, the dog has the right to chase the cat. It doesn't have the right to jump up and pull it tail first off of the high fence and then drag it to the ground and attempt to just sexually ravage it.
Chokehold.
So it wasn't an incredibly violent attack. It was just sexually dubious,
Yeah.
and I didn't like it. So I was like, right, we're having words. So yeah, but cats, they're easy. There's a cat I saw the other day delivering parcels from a partner. Opened the car door. There was a cat.
Yeah.
It got in the car. I closed the car door. It sat on my lap. I was stroking the cat while she went to the house where the cat lived. And the woman went, "Has your partner got my cat in his lap?" And she looked out and she went, "Why have you got a cat?" And I just went in and I went, "Yeah, it got in on its own. It's now my cat." That's how the cat law works.
Failed that one miserably. She just wound it down. Good evening, Mr. Bond.
What, with a Jamaican accent?
Yeah.
Blofeld, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
21st century, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the Spectre twist.
Yeah.
We all expect it to be, what's his name from...
Christopher Waltz.
We all think it's going to be Christoph Waltz. What's actually going to be is Levi Roots. Just going to turn around and go, "Aye, aye, Mr. Bond. How you doing?" With my vaguely northern accent.
Is he going to have just an incredibly hot sauce that he tries to slowly lower Daniel Craig into?
No, he's going to
Pivotal moment in the
basically
film.
pour some piri-piri sauce between his legs coming upwards. I was like, "Do you expect me to talk, Mr. Roots?" And he goes, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to fry." You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, very clever.
This is Dalek Sex, and the voice of sex is coming in your ears.
Yeah. Huh. Come on. He's got opinion and posted suggestion, but never reveals his name. Read by someone, taken as a good one, but nobody knows who wrote it. Few lies of the sentence lie, anonymity annoying me all the time. It's like a 2-channel where people just throw their anger, forget about those foul actions.
Last time on the Holocaust, we talked about the infamous tit figure of Metal Gear Solid 5's female protagonist. While I'm no longer privileged enough to be on the show proper, I was indebted to Duff for the information that in Japan, tit figures like this are seen as commonplace and acceptable. Huh. I brought this up in the week by publicly calling Duff a racist on Twitter, and he responded, "Be honest!" That, by the way, is a great UKIP-style opening gambit. It all but states flat out that the argument is already won, and it's only your stubborn refusal to admit the fact that it's that standing in your way of your seeing that. But anyway, I digress. Be honest, attitudes are very different. Huh. Wow. Let's talk about that, shall we? In Japan, the display of uncensored genitals or pubic hair is illegal and has been since 1907. The kind of magazines that we consider commonplace on the shelves of our newsagents and convenience store are available in Japan, but their manufacturers supply them in an opaque plastic sleeve to avoid offending public morals, corrupting children, and encouraging freeloading pervs reading them in the shop. Japanese attitudes to the distasteful and the embarrassing just aren't different. At best, hentai and otaku culture centered around the Mandarake Plaza or the Akihabara quarantine zone are considered a quirky embarrassment at best and a blight on society at worst. When I left Japan in 2008, even Akihabara seemed faintly embarrassed about itself, and by faintly, I mean there were giant billboards at the station displaying the editor of Famitsu pointing at the audience like Lord Kitchener and saying, "Young men of Japan, life is not a game." Let's flip it over a bit. There are now enough furries in London alone for them to organise a regular walk around the city in fursuits. We don't consider that commonplace and acceptable. It's amusing, or embarrassing, or eccentric, or creepy, is going down to the newsagent dressed as a fox. Within the furry community, there are individuals called baby furs who identify as particularly young animals and draw pictures of their own infant fursonas. And no, furries don't consider them commonplace and acceptable. They think that kind of behaviour is a bit odd and borderline creepy. And within the baby fur community, there's the diaper furs. And I won't get into the kind of things that the diaper furs do, but let's just say that a lot of them are banned from conventions. And do you know what you have to do to be banned from a furry convention? I couldn't get banned from a furry convention. So no, The baby furs don't consider the diaper furs to be commonplace and acceptable, but sadly every group is always going to be judged on the elements which are most visible and the most likely to keep the Daily Mail and clickbait links and the gurgling trendmongers who make up your friends and family bombarding your Facebook feed with the Japanese sex game show, which turned out to be an actual porno movie, or the Japanese used panties vending machine, which no living person actually seems to have seen, or the Japanese rape simulator game Rape Play, which cannot be legally bought anywhere. And the frustrating thing is that people I consider intelligent keep doing this, and it seems like such a no-brainer that you shouldn't be getting your information on comparative culture from internet content mills or the Twitter trending topics or the Daily Express or Nigel Farage or the head of Hitler in a jar on a giant robot at the end of Wolfenstein or Beastman out of Masters of the Universe. Ugh. All in all, it's just too exhausting to do a rebuttal on. So I'm not going to bother. I don't have time to babysit the internet. Nobody does. So I'm just going to surrender and admit that attitudes are very different. And they are. My attitude is different to Duff's. 'Cause he's a big racist.
Campaign between James and Phoebe really heating up now. Thanks. This is the fucking news.
Xbox One.
Yes.
The controller's a bit rubbish.
So I've seen people mention.
No, the rest of the controller,
Yep.
brilliant. Headphone option, shit.
Not great.
You have to buy an adapter to use most headsets on it.
Right.
Or buy something that is specifically made for that controller.
Yep.
Now, obviously, if you've got 2 consoles in your house or more, you might not want to have 2 or 3 different headsets. You might just want to use your headset on your console.
I feel that way with my Turtle Beach headset.
And so the new controller that's coming out potentially in June or July or something. It hasn't officially been announced.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still sketchy. It's just one of those leaked things where they've appeared in a German website, I think this one was. Has a 3.5 jack plug, which will revolutionise
most people's lives
in the sense that if you've got a PS4 and Xbox One, which a lot of people do these days, lucky bastards, they can, mostly game managers, because they all get both consoles.
Yep.
Shake a fist. Oh. No, I mustn't get rag on Game. They're a terrible organisation, but it's not the people's fault. So yes, this is coming on the way, and there are rumours of some other minor improvements. They do updates for the controller every now and then.
Yeah.
So
firmware and such like.
Yeah, so basically if the reaction time of the sticks can be fine-tuned, which is quite a cool thing, really, when you think that the controller can be fine-tuned to be better. Like when Titanfall came out, there was a patch to make it work better with Titanfall. Yeah. But then some people didn't like how it reacted with other games. So it was one of those things where...
You can't please all of the people all the time.
No, but you can please some of the people...
Some of the time.
Some of the time, yes. So this will certainly go a long way to pleasing some of the people, but they will have to buy another controller. Yeah. But I think this is only really for people who want to use their headset. So that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because it's not a permanent change to things. It's just, if you want to do that, here's a controller that will allow you to do it. Yeah. And it's kind of cool. So I like that. And I imagine we'll hear more about that at E3. Maybe even a new console bundle with it in there. Just like
there is a white Halo Master Chief Collection bundle I saw Larry Hru talking about on Twitter.
Yeah. There you go. There's also a really nice one in Australia that comes with a load of indie games. iDarb's on there, Warframe, and something else that's free.
So they get a cool Xbox bundle
Smite.
And maybe the 2022 World Cup in the same week. Good for them. Who knows?
Yeah, well, it depends how much money they're not going to be giving to this new non-corrupt organisation that's going to form where nobody's ever going to be take a bribe, ever.
I, for one, hope the new FIFA president, Blatter, cleans that shit up.
With a big wad made out of money that he just found.
It just happens to have his face printed on it.
Oh, it's amazing. See, I'm not even into football, but the whole thing annoyed me for 2 reasons.
There was football on the telly.
Number one, I was on the bus, and the bus driver had the radio on to listen to it, because it's quite... If you're into football, it's massive news. It's like, there's been... Everybody's known that it's been corruption.
It's quite significant anyway, in a sense, because there was a lot of... I mean, the World Cup's a big deal, whether you like football or not. Economically, for countries that host it, you look at when Brazil built these massive stadiums at massive costs. Yeah. There are a lot of protests because of it. Even though Brazil is football mad, it's like you're spending all this money on almost a vanity project in a way. And, it's the same kind of thing with Russia in 2018. They've got all these human rights problems in Russia. People talk about Qatar and people dying. Russia's not exactly got a great human rights record itself.
No.
And it brings a spotlight to other areas and other issues within a country.
Yeah.
Because the media is suddenly looking at this country saying, right, we're going here in 4, 10, whatever years' time, depending on when it is. And what's it all about?
Yeah.
Holy shit, they still whip people in the streets.
It's
like,
but also, I mean, just from the point of view of how involved the top people at FIFA,
there
that
was
image
one
that came
accusation
out.
today, was it Jack Warner? Now, there must be a caveat to Jack Warner in that
Who's Jack Warner?
he was he head of CONCACAF? I think it might have been one of the vice presidents, but I forget his exact role.
What's CONCACAF?
North America, Caribbean football, basically.
All right.
So he's from Trinidad and Tobago, I believe.
That's for the listeners who might not know what that is.
No, and you, who doesn't know who he is.
Oh.
And I should have pointed that out. And I forget his exact title, but he's one of the people who's been arrested and indicted with the FBI for basically bribery and all sorts of stuff. And he, now, again, caveat here is when he first claimed that this was an American vendetta against him stroke FIFA, he cited the Onion as the source. So that gives you an idea of how
tomatoes are sauce.
Of how out of tune he may be with things.
That should be a standard response from the BBC.
But he also then today claimed that FIFA may have had an influence on the 2010 Trinidad and Tobago elections, which is a pretty serious accusation. It might be a small island, but saying that they are influencing democratic elections.
They're talking huge amounts of money. Yes. I was talking to my partner about this because she was watching Have I Got News For You with Gary Lineker hosting, and Ian Hislop said a joke about, this is about money, Gary. No, nothing you'd understand about. And he was saying about, in his age, there wasn't anywhere near the sort of money. No. And it really wasn't. I was thinking back, when I was young and it was kind of Gary Lineker and you had Ian Rush. I mean, these are people that played it as a sport, but not as a lifestyle or a career. I mean, you could be a career footballer, but it wasn't a well-paid job.
And that's what people forget with guys like Gary Lineker, is he played for Barcelona. But the Barcelona Gary Lineker played on wasn't the Barcelona today. No. They were nowhere near as good, nowhere near as dominant. They didn't have all these stars.
Particularly because Gary Lineker was playing for them.
Well, I mean, to be fair, at the time, Lineker was one of the best strikers in the world. Give him his credit. But you're right, and I read an article on, I think it was the Guardian or the Telegraph website, about a group of ex-footballers.
Yeah.
And one of them was Stuart Ripley, who didn't retire that long ago.
But he's the one that opened the Believe It or Not museum.
No.
No?
No.
Is he the one that fought aliens in space? Right.
That's what I was just going to say. And he had to go and work on this. He's a lawyer now. In London, I think he's based. And he played for England, Blackburn. He won the Premier League. He got to the top of the sport, really, certainly in this country. But he needed a second profession when he retired. He invested his money and obviously used it to pass his exams and things. I mean, there was another guy who played for Wigan. He's now a police officer in Holland. All this, and guys now are set up for life.
Yeah,
really
I mean, you look at Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, he didn't need to go and play anywhere else,
and
after leaving Liverpool,
he could have just left.
Yeah,
and never have to work another day in his life. Because when I was talking to my partner about it, we were talking about Georgie Best. And we were saying he's probably the most high-profile early player of excess, but it was never money that he made from the sport. It was money that he made, or clubs that let him in, or he was. The reason was he spent all his money was because he didn't have a huge amount of money. No. If he was on sort of salary he is now and he would spend it all, that's phenomenal. If he'd have managed that.
But that's happened. There are footballers who've played to a good level. Granted, not now when it's gone ridiculously excessive, but not that long ago when they still earned good money.
I'm getting very distracted by all this bird. It's brilliant.
Spring watch. Who spent all their money. Keith Gillespie played for Newcastle, Man United and some others. He spunked all his away, mostly gambling and things. And because for a lot of them, it's the old problem, is there's no financial advice.
No.
You're given this large sum of money in a very short space of time. It's basically a 10 to 20 year career where you earn this high level money and then it's off you go into the world with the rest of the people. Unless you're very savvy.
With your gold-plated Land Rover.
Well, that's the thing. Unless you're very savvy about saving your money or investing it. Because that's what Thomas Graverson did. He used to play for Everton. He invested it in a load of property. Right. He's now basically a real estate magnate in Las Vegas, living the high life, because he invested the money he earned. So he earned good money at Everton, Real Madrid, and then put it into something which is actually going to last him.
He never had a 25-foot long fish tank, did he?
He didn't.
So, I don't know which I'd rather live with life as. Do I want to have a load of property?
Do I want to have a 25-foot fish tank or do I want to have a load of property?
Have you seen that TV program about those people that install those giant fish tanks?
I've seen it advertised, but I haven't.
That's amazing. They did one at a baseball field, and it was behind the batter's line. So they had to design
behind
it
the bench or behind the home plate.
behind home plate.
Right, so behind the umpire.
They had to design it so that if a ball went past...
I was going to say, basically the pitcher was throwing a ball at a fish tank.
And they were saying, like, how thick would this glass have to be? And I think it was about a foot and a half thick. It's like the same stuff they put on airplanes. That's incredible. I can't remember what team it was, but they had this massive tank. And I just thought, that's proper American sports right there. Just like, hey, we're a baseball team. What do we need?
Tampa Bay Devil Rays?
Might have been them. Then.
I mean, that would play into the team.
Yeah, I don't know. They could be the
Rays,
Florida Fishies or whatever.
The Florida Marlins. Miami Marlins now.
Could be them.
I saw them play.
Maybe they've got it. But yeah, it was just a quite an interesting idea. But that's a very good programme. But no, it's...
Back to the news.
but no, just saying, like, if you... That picture that came out, which had all the other people who've been arrested and Sepp Blatter at the top, completely innocent, and it's like, how could he not have known? That's a ridiculous image. It's like the Mortal Kombat fight screen. Like, he's just the final boss. It was like everybody else had been taken down.
It's either he's a massive liar or massively incompetent.
It's not an if. He is a massive liar. Like, it's very
Did
clear.
You see, I don't know which agency it was, but there was one image which was just so perfect. Loads of websites use it. It was him walking down the stage, and a man just opening the door and shutting him out.
It was a... I did look up about the photographer, because when these sort of photos get taken, they just get shared, and nobody credits the original photographer. And it was...
All the news sites...
She was someone who was very close to, like, FIFA. She did a lot of officials. She's done... the guy who looks like Jimmy Carr, tennis player.
Guy looks like Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, there's a tennis player, really named from famous male tennis players.
Rafa Nadal, Roger Federer.
Roger Federer.
Federer isn't like Jimmy Carr.
You look at him on your phone right now, I guarantee you. If you
talking then.
Roger Federer and Jimmy Carr, and there'll be a photo side by side, and he does. Anyway, he did a photo of...
I'll give you the I've never seen them in the same room together.
Right, well, just do the two, and you'll find it. But yeah, and this photographer, she was like a really well-known and really talented sports photographer, and she managed to get that one image that will now be forever emblazoned alongside it, because he's got his old man shoes on as well. That's what I really liked. It
was 89,
yeah, but he had old man shoes. You'd think somebody who's just taken like billions in bribes would be able to afford some better shoes than that, or stilts, or like roller skates or something, or hover boots. But no, just old man shoes, just like an old man. I was quite disappointed, really.
So does that mean that Jimmy Carr looks like Alex Hales, the England cricketer, as well?
If he looks like Roger Federer,
I think Federer looks more like Hales than Carr.
No. Anyway, that's not what you're supposed to be looking for.
I've already looked at Roger Federer.
And do you think the two...
No.
Did you put them both side by side?
How am I going to do
that? Did you put Roger Federer and Jimmy Carr? No, in the Google search, Roger Federer and Jimmy Carr.
And Jimmy Carr.
And then it will bring up an image of the two being compared. Not and Fabio.
And Jimmy Fallon.
No.
I'm not seeing it
Not
at all.
Jimmy... All right. Well, anyway, I think he does. And so does Richard Iodai. And so do other people.
I don't trust him.
Well, is that because he's not
I like the way
white?
one of the search results is Boris Becker and Christopher Walken.
That would be amazing if Christopher Walken played the life story of Boris Becker.
Yeah.
How?
Hit the ball.
How was that not in? I kept this bat up my ass. That'd be brilliant. It's a racket, not a bat, Walken. Oh, sorry. David Bowie.
Slipped into David Bowie at the end there.
Oh, we've gone way off the Xbox controller, haven't we?
We have.
The Nintendo NX.
FIFA paid you to do this, haven't they? Paid you to praise them.
Nintendo NX.
Yes.
I'm very excited about this. You know this.
I know this. We've done this for
It's not being
time.
shown at E3, apparently.
That's disappointing.
But I still
when
think...
I read that, I still
think
a little bit gutted.
Not showing at E3 doesn't mean it won't be at E3. They can show an image of it, or they can show a trailer, teaser for it.
Is this one of the dogmatic things where they just lift the box up and there's something underneath going, this is it?
I mean,
like, what the fuck
not having it at E3
Tennis
means
ball.
there won't be a device to show off. That's fair enough. I don't think they'll not say anything. I think that would be ridiculous. But the big news this week was that it's rumoured to have an Android operating system, which, as we talked about last week when we said about Japanese gaming, has gone massively to the mobile market, and Nintendo have licensed out their characters and property to developers for mobile phones. It would make sense for them to then develop a console that would allow those games to play on a Nintendo machine. So, yeah, this could be a massive revolution for Nintendo. This could really change the game, because Yeah, I didn't even do that on purpose.
Oh, no.
That actually took me a second to go, what are you laughing? Oh, I was witty. So, yeah, it's a very interesting move because the console could be very cheap.
Yep.
Because the operating system is not going to be expensive. I mean, we've seen handheld stuff like the Game Stick, you've seen the Ouya, there's been the flippity dippity do, whatever.
Yeah.
But they do exist.
A lot of stuff run on Android. that's what I'm
And
trying to say.
so it wouldn't be a terrible idea. It would mean that potentially they could release a big budget game at App Store prices. Which, I mean, you've seen Final Fantasy can be bought for $5.99, so that business model works.
There's a few games starting to appear. I mean, there was a Football Manager handheld.
Yeah.
You know, there's some of these bigger titles are starting to find their way
Exactly.
onto tablets.
And so why not make a console, whether it's home console or takeaway? I'm starting to think, are we going to see something like we talked about, where you were talking about the Wii U isn't portable enough? Well, maybe that's going to be the next step. A 7-inch tablet.
Yeah. So you've got a
console.
Wii U controller effectively using the screen on that.
Yeah.
You just take that with you.
Just take it with you, and then
you charge
can,
it up when
and
you
you
need
can
to charge
stream
it
it
up.
straight to your TV with a dongle or whatever, so you can play it on the big screen if you want, which you can do with things like the Fire Stick. So I don't know. I just want to see some more on it.
Yeah.
That's all. I haven't been this excited about Nintendo consoles since the GameCube. I never really got into the Wii hype train. I bought one at launch and now sold it to a guy who wanted it for his nephew. And the Wii U I like. But the GameCube I was genuinely excited about, and I'm getting that again. Actually, probably this is the most excited I've been about consoles since the 360. I think that was the last time I genuinely got excited.
Yeah.
And even then it took me a while. So, Android operating system would be thumbs up on that one.
Oh, excellent.
Especially if it's updatable.
Yeah.
I don't want it just to be static. It needs to be able to move and upgrade with
But
other
you'd hope
versions.
it would be updatable, given that, I mean, even
Yeah, but this is
Microsoft push out-
Nintendo.
It is, but Microsoft. But then if you're using Android, at some point Google will surely just come in and say, you know, we kind of need to have this ability to do this because time, you know, what's your time frame for the NX? 5 years. Okay, well, if you're going for 5 years, we need to have the ability to at least patch things as we go along.
What would get me very excited is if this also explains why there's been a Nintendo Humble Bundle. Because the Humble Bundles generally are Steam and Android.
Yeah.
And so if they're now talking with Nintendo, that would make sense that they might be going, actually, Nintendo, what are you here? We've heard that you might be doing a Android thing. And they're like, yeah. And then they could put the Humble Bundle app on there and you can play your games on your Nintendo NX, which would also be pretty fucking marvellous. So... yeah, it's something I'm quite excited about. Although I still would like to see Nintendo on Xbox, if that's what that is. But it won't be.
XCOM.
XCOM.
We touched on Destiny.
XCOM
We can
2.
cross that off our news list.
Oh, XCOM 2. See, in a week where Fallout 4 was always going to be our big exciting thing, there were 2 trailers came out that both also are as exciting.
I told you it'd been an exciting week.
It has. So XCOM 2 was the first one.
Yep.
It was Advent was the tease. They were showing it. A lot of people going, oh, new Bioshock game. And I looked at it thinking, kind of looks like an XCOM game to me, more than a Bioshock game. And then it was an XCOM game.
Hey.
And I thought, why did I not mention this last week on the show? Well, I could have looked like I had some fucking idea what I'd talk about. And instead, there we go. XCOM
Is this
2.
PC only at this stage?
PC only at this stage, but as was the first one.
Yep.
Storyline goes that the aliens won.
Right.
That now we are living in a world where people are sort of controlled without them knowing by some people of aliens. And we were just raising glasses there to Rob's missus. That's what the slight pause was. So there are some aliens that are in plain sight, like there are statues of aliens helping humanity, and there are others where they're in the background and they're manipulating people. One alien that's a cobra man. I don't know if you saw the trailer.
I haven't watched the
There's
trailer.
a man who's a cobra and he slithers on the floor and then wraps himself around and up. Oh, it's brilliant. But yes, XCOM is now in a big flying spaceship, so like the helicarrier.
Yep.
And you're doing these guerrilla missions to try and bring down the aliens. So it does look very exciting. And it's got the man from the first one who went, "Welcome back, Commander." And I was like, "Yeah, it's you!"
So has he become their Ron Perlman?
It kind of is there on Perlman, yeah. But it's just like, it's one of those, like when you play a game and there's that voice, like with Red Alert, there's General Carville, like the bald fat guy. And he's like, "Hey, I see what you're doing." Like, no matter what happens, but as soon as he's in there, you're like, "Yeah, it's him." That's what I had. It was like, "Welcome back, Commander." I was like, "Ooh." Which I imagine you also did when you saw the Lara Croft climbing a mountain
Yeah,
trailer.
there wasn't a lot in it.
No.
It's
a
very much
brave
a teaser.
trailer.
Well, with E3 on the horizon, it's kind of one of those timely ones where it just goes, "We're coming,
Hi,
we're on the way."
I'm Lara Croft. Remember me?
Yeah, it was a bit like that, and it was kind of like we know it's going to be Siberia,
Yeah.
so
Among
snowy mountains.
Potentially other places as well.
Yes, of
I've
course.
heard.
Yeah. So we know snowy mountains are a thing in that part of the world.
I thought you meant just in general.
Just in general,
Yeah, they are a thing.
They are a thing.
I can
and
say
here she
that.
is climbing one. But that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Climbing an ice sheet.
But this was something that a lot of people missed in the first Tomb Raider.
Yes.
It was. They were saying, "Oh, it would have been nice if she'd been in the snow somewhere." So it was almost like going, "Hey, you've seen a cave, but it's
I
also
think
gonna be a snowy
we talked
mountains."
about it on a previous episode. I can't remember which one, where they had said they were going to tweak things from the reboot of Tomb Raider and just build on that.
Do you think they're
build
going to
on the
have
feedback.
dinosaurs in it?
No,
Do you want them to have dinosaurs in it?
no.
I'd quite like it if there was.
I
I love that about the first one.
Mm.
I prefer killing dinosaurs than wolves.
The wolves were a bit annoying.
Because it was like, that's just a wolf, that's doing what it normally does. That's
Yeah.
a dinosaur. It has no place being in this mountain.
I don't know. I kind of there was a certain semblance of reality. I thought in the reboot, as
Yeah.
much as the ending was supernatural,
Mm.
there was that hook that this place could genuinely exist. Whereas
But-
some of the other ones were a little
Dinosaurs are real, Rolf. It's not a ghost. It's a real thing.
not anymore. Then they've been dead.
Well, I think you'll find there's a park in Costa Rica
Costa
where
Rica.
there are lots of
Look,
dinosaurs.
I don't care what Disney are doing in Costa Rica.
That'd be amazing, just a giant Mickey Mouse just like stomping around. Oh, Christ.
There's only one way to get this: get the newest Japanese citizen, Godzilla, to sort it out.
I read that with great delight
I did.
when it was just like,
And
obviously.
did you see the promotional shot? There's these three Japanese men in suits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, a guy in a Godzilla suit holding the certificate. It's just like, at any minute he's going to break out and just attack these men.
It was brilliant, and I like the fact that they said when previous visits to the region, and it was all the films where it destroyed areas. I just thought, this is like the opposite of an ASBO. This is like, hey, I know you destroyed all those buildings,
You
but,
also helped with Mothra.
but yeah, help
I'm
get
gonna
rid of
honour
that
that.
fucking moth.
But yeah, no. It
What a
felt
week!
like
It really has been an
I know.
amazing week.
I
It's
know.
like the best week
But this
of
is
my
what
life.
kind of what happens with E3 on the horizon, as I said.
No,
Rise of-
E3 doesn't make Godzilla become an ambassador for
well,
a region in
it does
Japan.
now.
or
What did you
get-
just see, Nathan? What did you just see?
Well, that's not because of E3. It's because
might
it's
be.
the anniversary of Godzilla.
But anyway, yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider. It felt like a timely teaser trailer with E3 coming up.
Yes.
So I suspect we'll learn or see more
Well,
then.
not everything gets lots of teasers.
No.
Like Lego Worlds, which we had no idea existed, and then it released on early access, and everybody went, wait, what?
What the fuck is this?
We've always said that Minecraft was digital Lego, but this is digital Lego, so what do we call Minecraft now? Do we call Minecraft Lego
Done.
Worlds?
That's what we call it. Finished.
Yeah, see you, Microsoft. You thought you bought like Minecraft for yourself. Well, we bought a Lego one, and you can build dragons in it and fly them around. Not just go through a portal and shoot one with a bow and arrow repeatedly until it explodes in a purple light. This one you can actually build a dragon.
Yeah.
Do you know the most exciting thing? I emailed the PR team on this.
I love
asked
the way
them
you
one
talk about
question.
building a dragon, and then you go, do you know what the most exciting thing
This
was?
is more exciting. I emailed the PR team to ask if this was possible because I didn't want to talk about it until I knew it was possible.
Yep.
I'm still looking at the birds. I'm
Yeah.
distracted as a seagull. Oh, it's not a seagull. It's a herring gull.
Yep.
Because there's no such thing as a seagull.
All right. Chris
Apart
Packham.
from Steven Seagal. So Lego Worlds has every brick
Right.
in Lego
Yep.
available.
Okay.
So you can massively change a mountain. Just create a mountain. So in the trailer they show a snowman being built. But you can also find any instruction book from any Lego kit and make that with the blocks that are available.
That's pretty cool.
That's
So do you just literally type in the brick number? And
you
it'll
go
just search
through
it for
you go through all the things. So it'll be like wheels and bricks and things. It'll be time consuming.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of
point
these
is-
sets that aren't available anymore. They're
Yeah.
retired sets.
Yeah.
And if you can make anything that you like, that's kind of the most exciting thing about it for
Yeah.
me, because there'll be people who recreate these legendary Lego kits.
Yeah.
Like every set you
I'd
ever had as a
recreate
kid.
the pirate ship I had as a kid,
Every set you had as a kid, you could do. And there are digital versions of every instruction manual ever. So you can literally just go on and go, okay. Like people when they do the pixel art stuff
Yeah.
in games, and they just sit with an image. You can kind of do that. But But not just build it, you can then get on that boat and sail it out to sea, or fly that rocket, or drive that car. Why is that not like the most exciting thing ever to happen to a Lego game?
It's pretty exciting.
So yeah, that is possible. Apparently, they said some of it will be a bit gimpy because obviously the parts weren't made to be a moving vehicle.
Right.
So some will work better than others.
So
But
could be a bit clunky.
on the whole, that's still quite a cool little thing that people can play with. Early access, I think it's $11.99 as well, which is ridiculously cheap. It is going to go up in price when it finalises, but as with anything, they go through. And finally this week, they've also done the kind of reveal of the year, Skylanders Superchargers. Because just when Skylanders wasn't expensive enough, you now got to buy all their vehicles.
I saw you put all about the vehicles.
Yeah, it is. This is kind of Skylanders mixed with Mario Kart, mixed with Rage and Blur. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a big hit with kids, but I think this might be the last kind of a ditch attempt to not let Lego Dimensions take over. Because I think they said, right, okay, well, they got Lego. What have we got? We got cars and planes. That's better. They've got the door. Don't care. We've got a car that can fire tomatoes. So shush. So yeah, it was kind of the name of it got leaked by a German website that accidentally listed it too early, and then the trailer came out. And
Germans have got a lot to answer for this week.
The Germans, yeah, frankly, all because they've had an FA Cup final there. That is what they did. It's just not the FA Cup.
We don't like this Aston Villa and Arsenal game. We would have our own.
Yeah, and we will call it the Aston Villa, but it's not a V, it's a W, but we can't say it properly. No. So it's Aston Villa and the Arsenal. And there we have it.
Yeah.
The Germans.
Dear.
Well, you know, I am a massive racist, let's not forget. Oh no, not what I've done now.
What are you doing?
I was scrolling up, but this is a Mac, and I'm a PC. Okay. Hello, I'm a PC. So, big news of the week. Cue the Fallout music.
Is there Fallout music?
I'm going to hopefully remember to put some in. You know, like I always say, in the edit I'll put it in.
I've just assumed you're never going to ever do that.
I will. I'm going to have a bit of Fallout music. It might be playing behind us while we're talking. All depends on how difficult it is to isolate that bird noise. But then that would probably work. No, because there's no birds.
There's no birds anymore.
Unless they're giant mutant birds. There aren't, are there?
No.
I mean, there's dogs. One dog. I can't have
a dog.
Yeah, was there ever another dog? I don't remember seeing another one.
In New Vegas, did the... what are the wild ones called? The ones who are mashed out on chems. Did they not have like attack dogs?
Oh, some of them did have attack dogs, didn't they? That's all right. I did think for a moment I am the last surviving dog in the world. And it was invulnerable.
Robot.
It kept getting walking landmines, never died. So maybe it was a robot.
Just kind of went...
Somebody rather jokingly said that this dog is the ancestor of the dog from Call of Duty Ghosts. But, yeah, so Fallout 4.
Yes.
The trailer countdown ended and no trailer appeared, so everyone went to YouTube instead.
Yep.
Which I don't know if you saw it on the main site or not, because I couldn't get to work for 10 minutes or so.
I clicked down. I think I had a late lunch that day, purposely. Bear in mind, I finish at 4 at the moment, the shift I'm on. So literally my lunch was at 3, and I watched tick, tick, tick. This is like...
I set 4 alarms on my phone to make sure I was in front of a PC in case
so
my phone
I think
worked.
I periodically checked through the day as well, just to make sure it was still going down.
Yeah.
And then it just said, please wait. And it's just and then I think I did the Control F5 to do the hard reset, and I got the master brain error, and it's just, and then it's like, oh, and I think I went on Twitter and somebody's like, here it is, and there's YouTube links. I'm like, great, pop, here we go, and yes.
And the YouTube link, I got onto the YouTube link and it had 37 views at that point.
Yep.
I was in the first 38 people to watch.
Well done.
I was quite pleased. I had it open as well.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I know what's going to happen here. That site's going to get absolutely rammed, and then it's going to be on YouTube, and that's where they're hosting it really, and it's just going to be feeding from there or whatever. I'll just watch it on YouTube. I've done it before. I did it with the Star Wars trailer. I was in like the first 100 people to see that as well, because I jumped on YouTube. Although saying you're in the first 100 people, just because it's at that number when you click it, there's probably 1,000 other people clicking it. The dog from Fallout's letting himself go a bit. But we didn't get the trailer we were expecting a little bit, because we were talking about it was going to be pulling out from a TV, which it did.
It did.
Because that's what they do.
Yep.
Or a radio, obviously.
Yep.
But then usually there's not much else. It's just like you'll see something and and that would be the name. But we got a full 3 minutes of seeing the world of Fallout 4.
And I kind of like that because there were some rumours they would do a full CGI trailer.
Yeah.
Not dissimilar to ones we've just discussed, where it pans out from the radio. So New Vegas, it had some of the robots running around. It had the ranger on the top of the sign shooting the raider. Things like that, which are all very, very cool and great ways to announce the game. So it didn't show us a lot, whereas this took a very different approach.
And it showed us a lot without saying anything.
It showed us a lot, it said a bit. Enough to make people get even more excited for something that were already very excited.
Spaceships that are actually ships.
Airships, yep.
That was amazing.
It's basically converted one of the most important boats in American history into an airship.
Yeah. Well, this is everything that's important about Boston, isn't it? I mean, I want, as I said to you, I want to see the Cheers bar in there.
Yeah.
Like, go in and just see Kelsey Grammer as a ghoul.
There's I suppose it's going to be a town of some sort. Geographically, it's near to where Fenway Park is, the baseball stadium. And apparently the people there are basically inhabited, or the inhabitants there are wearing basically baseball uniforms and walking around with bats with nails in. I thought that's a beautiful little touch.
There's a lot of talk about this not just being Boston, but being the Commonwealth area.
Yep.
So that would be good. I mean, that makes sense because the Washington wasteland, or Capital Wastelands, was more than just Washington.
Yes.
So, we're living in an age. Some people complaining that the graphics engine doesn't look anything new.
I will fight those people.
But you know what? The scene of
Fallout 3 wasn't brilliant graphically.
Is it Paul Revere, the statue in Boston? The scene where that's night time and you've got the lighting on there is better than anything in any other Fallout game.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Looked
They've
phenomenal.
taken a step, but maybe it was yourself said on Twitter, would you rather have an engrossing game you could love and spend hours and hours and hours in?
That sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, or do you want something that's shiny that will last you 4
But this is the
6
other
hours?
thing, like if you look at Watch Dogs, when they first showed footage from Watch Dogs, everybody's like, that looks amazing. Then Watch Dogs came out and they went, well, there was nothing like the version they showed earlier. What they've got with Fallout 4 is, it will look like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
It might look better than that, but it won't look worse than that.
I doubt it.
And that's what I like about it. Like, what they've done there is they've created... I mean, I don't know whether the pre-war footage you saw in the trailer will be playable. I hope it is. I would love to go into Vault 10111 because we've not seen that before.
No.
We've seen in Operation Anchorage the start of the war, but never from the point of being on the ground.
See, if that is the prologue, epilogue, prologue. Which one comes first? I always get confused.
Prologue.
Prologue first, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're in the garden.
I have these moments. We're in the garden, you're right. That's why. Just with the fresh air. So if that's the prologue, so this is the learn your controls, push left, push right.
Yeah. Well, you see a baby
what
in
do
a
it
crib.
look like? Yeah.
So it could just be they're your parents, that's you.
Yep.
But they've done babies before. Liam Neeson was your dad in one of them, and that was you learning the controls and stuff. So, I mean, seeing that and witnessing that and then coming out X years later and having the voice of Troy Baker to voice the protagonist, which a lot of people also ragged on that. They're like, oh, shouldn't have a voice. It's like, well, if you want engaging dialogue, it will. Yeah. Right? That would be better.
Surely that is naturally the next step for that dialogue.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a visual step up. It just has to be a sequel. It has to improve upon.
So here's the other bit. At some point, do they consider for certain events, because there are going to be main story quest points, maybe they have cutscenes, and that's where it factors in. Yeah,
I would like that. I would also like to see something similar to what they've done in Dragon Age Inquisition, where you have decision making. So, like, you think the end of Fallout 3, where you make that big decision.
Yeah.
The decision of Megaton.
Yeah.
Imagine stuff like that, where your character's having a discussion. Not just you, but your character voicing his opinion. Because this is the point. Sometimes it puts you in a role of you being a Vault Dweller. And sometimes you want to play a character. And I think when you are the Vault Dweller, you make the decisions you would make. If the character has a voice and a motivation, you can do a little bit more with that to push it down a route that you might not have gone down. But this is the character doing it.
So the other thing is, it may just simply be that Troy Baker will just be like a narrator.
Yeah.
So he will overarch certain points, certain areas. So you turn up in whatever part, whatever town, suburb, whatever, and it's literally just, this is so-and-so. It was nice here once. Then the Great Khans turned up and fucked it up. And it's just some little bit of a... So it tells you more about that area. It's a simple introduction, spoken, also as a soliloquy perhaps, or whatever you want to call it. And it's simple as that. So it's not some massive sprawling dialogue.
No, it doesn't have to. I mean, a lot of it, you're on your own in the middle of nowhere, so you're not going to be just constantly talking to yourself, because that would be mental. In the trailer, the Brotherhood of Steel Armour, up on a jack in a garage.
The garage.
I can't help but think that might be a base of operations for your character.
That's what a lot of people are assuming, and you can understand why.
Yeah, there's a magazine rack full of the books and magazines, and I
There's a
quite like the
bobblehead,
idea
there's a
of,
dog,
you know, like when you read those books and you've got your perk, there's no reason to keep it,
Nope.
but you could put it in your little rack. There's a bobblehead. You've got
Guns.
you've got Nuka-Cola merchandise. I'd like the idea of getting things and decorating my little garage. That's I like it, because I've done that in Fallout.
Yeah.
Without any support from the game letting me,
Yeah.
with the exception of the bobblehead collection. Everything else was, you put that on that shelf. Or I remember once I had a chest or a box just full of forks and spoons and things that I found.
You kind of had that with Skyrim, where you could mount weapons on plaques on the wall. So it's almost like that mechanic just ported into Fallout.
Exactly, and I would hope that's the case. I would like that to be. Now, the other big surprise, maybe for some, is that it's not coming to last gen. But I don't think I don't think that's a bad thing. I think people should be expecting this now. Okay, it's a sequel to a big last gen game, but that doesn't mean it should be.
They didn't make Fallout 3 for the original Xbox.
No, and and
I wasn't expecting it to be 360. And we've talked about before, this was one of those games which would trigger me into moving to Xbox One.
And this is the thing where some people go, well, if it's not on the last gen, why did it look like a last gen game? Well, it's got to look like a Fallout game first and foremost.
That's why.
But you know, if it looked completely different to that style that they've created, a lot of people are like, oh, that's not my Fallout anymore. It doesn't have that edge to it. And I kind of want the Pip-Boy stuff works because it's that lo-fi sci-fi.
Yeah.
Right, so that should be there.
But that's part of the point of the game, in a sense, is that we've had this nuclear war, and there is technology, but it's kind of been pieced together and pulled together and recycled, so it is a bit ropey.
And you look at some of the cityscapes that they show you, where you've got all these businesses and neon signs. I mean, it's a beautiful looking location. So there was one which was like a memory bar or something that was in there. I mean, that's just, as a concept, even if you can't go into that building, which I'm sure you will be able to go into that building if they spent enough to think, what would a memory bar be
you could
like?
go into the casinos in New Vegas.
So I kind of like, I don't know, there's nothing I hated about that trailer.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. All I wanted was a release date.
Yep.
But we've got a big conference at E3.
They're not going to.
So they're not going to piss everything at the wall now. And if that's what they're showing now, that's a lot.
Yep.
How excited should we be for what we're going to see next?
A few people are speculating that it will be this year.
I've heard October.
Well, funny you should say that, because I had a little poke around and thought, well, you know, when have they traditionally released other things?
Yeah.
Fallout 3 was the end of October. Skyrim was the start of November. Other stuff has sort of floated around that time.
I don't think they're going to wait a full extra year.
No. They do tend to turn these around relatively quick. New Vegas was quite quick.
Look at that world now. Like before,
It'll
we've
be within
seen
12 months.
a CGI trailer.
Yep.
This is a game that's in-game engine footage, and there's all those locations.
Yep.
So there's not much they've not done.
No.
The only criticism I've seen of the trailer that I can agree with is not enough definition on the Vault Dweller's backside. If you watch that trailer again, it's a pretty rubbish arse he's got on there. Not enough. The fabric doesn't seem to curve. There's no shadow in.
Maybe it's just very loose
This is
fitting.
new gen. I want good arses in trousers.
Maybe it's just a very loose fitting boiler suit.
It's not. It's a boiler suit. They're not loose fitting. They're apart from it around the waist and around the thighs, but the arse, they're always pulled hiked up. So, I got a little blackbird. So yeah, I'm.
But if that is confirmed as autumn, call it whatever, then there we go. That falls in line with my birthday, and there is my Xbox One purchase.
Exactly. The only thing I am a little bit sad about is that some people were absolutely adamant this was going to be HD remasters of New Vegas and 3. I would have liked that.
That's not to say we won't have that in the interim. Again, we've got a conference coming.
So this is it. So part of me thinks if I was going to do that, I would do that as DLC for 4. Have it run on that engine.
That would be a massive DLC pack.
Doesn't matter. Rob, we're living in a time
Hang on, right.
where...
Can I just throw this out there? What are your internet speeds like at home, Bouncy?
Right. Do you know what the last patch for Dead Rising 3 was?
How many days would that take you to
Do you know what the patch for Dead Rising 3 was?
4 gig.
50 gig.
Right.
That's a patch.
Yep.
Not an update.
No, fine.
A patch. Fallout 3 came on one DVD.
Yep.
So...
With DLC, though, as well.
But even then, it was one disc with that had it all on. So if you think that's at most 9 gig,
Okay.
that falls within the remit.
That's still 9 days on your broadband.
But a lot of the assets would already be on the disc, already sold. So it's using. Cause that's why the DLC wasn't very big, because it was using assets.
Maybe that is the special edition of Fallout 4. You get the bonus disc.
Oh, that wouldn't be a
Fallout 3 New Vegas.
that would have to be the only edition. That couldn't be a special edition. If you're going to do that, you've got to do it as DLC, or just not offer it as optional, because it's not optional. I was talking to my partner about this, because I said, we were in the car, and she said, why's your alarm going off? I went, I've got 2 hours until the trailer coming out. She went, 2 hours? I went, well, I don't know where I was going to be.
I have to stretch first!
2 hours? It's an hour to get back to my house. So that was an hour to make pleasantries and put my trousers back on, and then get home.
Make pleasantries. Pitching woo.
And she said, but we're out delivering parcels. I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't think we'd still be out delivering parcels. We've only got 2 hours to get to a PC.
I'll pull over in that labour.
And I said, it's one of my favourite games. She went, is it Fallout? And I went, yeah. And she was like, oh. Now, as I said before, she's not into gaming. And I do talk a lot about gaming that she has no interest in. She knows that I like 2 games, Bioshock and Fallout. And she now knows about XCOM because of this week. So, yeah, the fact that immediately she was like, well, if you're this excited, it must be Fallout. There's moments in my relationship where everything just goes, ooh. Like in The Grinch, there's that line in The Grinch where his heart grew a little bit bigger. Like there. Yeah. That was one of those moments, like, is it Fallout? And I could just, turn, and I was like, with thumb up and one eye closed.
Just poker in the eye with your thumb.
Do you know what that is?
Poking around
a lot of people who talk about this week. I knew, but I didn't realise people didn't know. Why the Fallout Pip-Boy sticks his thumb up.
They do with the mushroom cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, for anyone who's
bigger
listening.
Than your thumb, you're too fucking close.
Yeah. And it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So
put your other thumb up and just,
to be fair,
go out with a smile on your face.
2 middle fingers and just die like that. But it is one of those amazing things that happened in 1950s America, where it's like, now we need to come up with a system.
Thumb is smaller than a mushroom cloud.
What if you got a massive
You're
thumb?
in trouble.
Or a tiny thumb? You could be safe, but then panic. Or you have a massive thumb. Imagine you had hands like sausages, like digits, like such, not just hands. That'd be weird.
And you need a special dialing one to use a telephone.
Yeah, or you're just a massive fat American hand.
Right.
I don't
You need a special dialing one.
1950s they didn't really have that, but if that was the case, or you'd crushed your thumb in a carpentry accident,
right,
and then you had it all bandaged up, you wouldn't know where the thumb ended.
Right.
You'd be like, oh no, I don't know whether I'm safe or not. But I quite like the fact that a lot of people just seem to not know that fact. Yeah. But it's there. Obvious, really. He's not winking, he's judging whether he's going to live or not. Which is ironic, because he's a cartoon used by an organisation that protects people. Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't really affect him.
No.
I found plenty of pictures of him in the radiation zone. Yeah. He was alright. And some bobblehead versions of him.
Yeah.
Never got
nodding away, smiling at you.
With their big wrenches or their guns. But, yeah, it's very exciting.
Very exciting.
I think I might watch the trailer a few more times tonight.
Yeah, probably.
I wanted to go through and screen by screen just analyse everything and do a big blog post about it, but every other website's doing that, so won't bother. No, there's no point. I'll just enjoy it like everyone else will. But while we're talking about Fallout, I thought it might be a good opportunity to revisit some other gaming dystopias. Because some people would argue that Fallout's not a dystopian society. I think it's entirely a dystopian society, particularly New Vegas.
Yep.
But it's apocalyptic dystopia, as opposed to a dystopia that is created and then falls apart. So I've got a little list here.
You have
Bioshock, obviously,
hands down for me.
Rapture and Columbia. I mean, that's up there.
Rapture would be my choice.
Yeah,
hands down. If you asked me just a question without having your little list, it would be Rapture.
Did I say last week while talking about Tomorrowland about my thing about Bioshock?
Can't remember.
Tomorrowland is the best Bioshock movie we'll ever have.
You didn't say that, but you do now.
It's if they ever make a Bioshock movie, Tomorrowland's fine. It's there was a lot of elements of that where I kept thinking, am I watching a Bioshock movie? Is that what the big surprise is? It's just going to come out. There's going to be like
a big daddy bursting out
Walt
the screen.
Disney on a screen, just going, "What makes a man?" But basically there was one scene quite early on where a character gets into this elevator.
Yeah.
That's just in the middle of his black room. There's just a boat goes up to this elevator, and then it's use the handles provided, and there's 2 in the floor if you slide your feet in, and 2 above you, and you hold on to prevent serious injury, and then the elevator just goes poof, and disappears. And it was just like the beginning of Bioshock Infinite, and I just thought, this is all the way through. I kept thinking, have Disney bought the rights to the Bioshock movie, and we just didn't know, because we knew that somebody was making one.
Yeah.
Am I watching it now? It kind of is. So yeah, if you're still on the fence about that, go watch it. Just pretend it's Bioshock the movie.
Yeah.
It's quite fun, but for kids. Half-Life 2, City 17.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got giant tripods walking around
Yeah.
shooting people. It's like War of the Worlds, but with a government.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Can't say more dystopian than that.
But they do have a lot of nice planks of wood along the rooftops to make
Very
it very
useful
easy.
planks of wood, yeah.
Where you'd have thought, if I was a soldier in City 17, I'd be like, well, there's two big planks of wood between those two buildings. Should we get rid of them? No, leave them. It's fine. Nobody will think to use those.
Insurance doesn't cover us, mate. We can't go there.
Yeah.
If we fall, we've got no benefits.
I've got a gravity gun that'll pull it towards us.
No. Don't risk it.
Don't use it.
If it falls on Barry's head...
All we need to worry about is that man getting off that train puts that can in that bin. If he doesn't, shoot him. Never mind all this.
Yeah. Fuck your planks, mate.
I don't want any
We're
litter in our
ground
railway
level.
station.
We're ground level patrol, not sky level.
And then Mirror's Edge,
Yep.
because the city doesn't have a name in Mirror's Edge.
Nope.
I did look, because I couldn't think of what it was, and I looked for ages. And
It was supposed to be slightly ambiguous.
Yeah, it's just a city,
Yeah.
which I think is quite good. But again, that's an evil city if Apple were allowed to design cities. Then we've got Beyond Good and Evil,
Yep.
and Hillis, which I don't know if you've ever played Beyond Good and
Yep.
Evil.
I downloaded the HD remake for my 360.
Well, that's about as dystopian as you get as well.
Can be,
Just
yep.
this horrible conspiracy going on. If you haven't played that, folks, do play that. It's only like £5 on the Xbox 360. It's genius. And obviously, Fallout's way it
Mentioned,
stands.
yep.
Shadowrun. I've recently installed Shadowrun Returns. Yep. This is what got me into thinking about... Because I played Techno Babylon, which I'll get to in a minute.
Yep.
But it did make me remember elements of Shadowrun Returns. So that, again... They've now got Shadowrun Hong Kong, I think, is coming out next.
Yes,
which
they're
looks
talking about something like that.
beautiful. It's on the way. Remember Me's Neo Paris, which I think you've skipped that one for now. Or did you get it on Games of Gold?
No, I didn't.
Did you not? I've got it on disc. I'll lend it to you. It's well worth playing through. Some of the combat's a bit clunky because it's combo based, and you have to do a very specific combo at times. But that's no different to God of War or anything else. And that was a really good storyline. Again, with a female protagonist. And I think without that, you probably wouldn't have had Rise of the Tomb Raider being as good as it is now. I think that's one of the games that played in that big kind of pre-Gamergate, but post like 90s masculine gamer world. Whereas actually, shall we have female characters again? And yeah, that's good. And then obviously Newton, which was a town I couldn't remember from Techno Babylon last time.
Crackdown as well.
Crackdown, that's a good one. Yeah, that is a very good one, especially because you don't know it's a dystopia until right near the end of the game, and then you're told that it is a dystopia, and you're the problem.
Yep.
Which is quite good. The second one, not so much, because that was just a zombie outbreak. But the new one that's in production has been very quiet. So
it has.
Hopefully we'll hear about that at E3.
Hopefully it's more the first one than the second.
Yeah, hopefully at E3 they'll just go, and it's out now.
That was one of those situations where everybody, a lot of people bought it because of the Halo 3 beta.
Yeah.
It turned out they got a frigging good game.
Yeah. Do you know what? The one thing I did more with that game than anything... Well, two things. The first was, how far can I drive a car up a vertical building by using the suction thing? Used to love doing that. How could I drive to the top of the agency tower? Because there was an achievement for climbing to
Yes.
it. I got a car on top of that. I was very pleased. I used the jumping buggy.
Yep.
So I jumped and then sucked on and drove and then jumped and... Yeah, I got that to the top of the tower. I raced a friend. He was on the opposite side. We were both climbing up and chatting. The other one we played is when you come out the agency tunnel next, where you got like a bar on the left-hand side, you use that jump and there's a firefight. I would jump a car out.
Yep.
My mate would try and shoot my tyres in midair. And then I'd land it and we'd check how many tyres he'd shot.
Nice.
And we played that for about 4 hours. Just, I'm going back in. You get ready, get ready. It's like proper kids. But that's the thing. What Crackdown did is it gave you a set of tools to play with. And it was great fun. And it was a nice gaming dystopia.
It was.
So, any others? Can you think of any others?
Not off the top of my head. I think
If you can think of a gaming dystopia that we've forgotten, then tweet us with the hashtag "the future is fucked." Don't do that. That'd be terrible.
That's a lot of letters on Twitter.
Bad future, bad land, bad thing. Just tweet us. Don't put hashtag. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to hashtag things.
No.
See, that baby got called hashtag this week.
No.
Somebody called their daughter hashtag.
No.
But it was the word hashtag, but you could abbreviate it to the symbol. That's got a proper name. What's a hashtag's real name? Do you know?
Hashtag.
No, it's got a proper name. I can't remember
know.
what it is. Somebody I know knows it, and they keep going on about it, and I thought it was the sort of thing you'd do. You beardy. So, yeah, I think that's the show.
Yeah.
The show. I'm going to go and watch Game of Thrones Series 1 tomorrow.
Good.
Not go and watch it. I'm going to go after this.
Yep.
And then tomorrow
About
The
fucking
two
time.
aren't really related, but I am going to watch it.
Good.
tomorrow.
About time.
I did try, but my Xbox wouldn't read the disc, and then I couldn't get Destiny to read again, so I spent half an hour trying to get my game back in while playing Clicker Heroes. So I'll be putting down the player downstairs.
Nice.
And hopefully there's not that many episodes in the first series, was there?
The 10 in all of them.
Oh, well, that's not many.
No, they're an hour long. It's a 10 hours
It's
run.
10 hours. Okay. Could probably get that done in about 10 hours.
Yeah.
I dare say.
We've got to allow time for changing the discs over.
Well, you say that,
Call it 10,
but
10 and a
I'm
quarter.
now training to be a projectionist, so yeah, it's my job to be able to real quick, seamless.
Yeah, but
Ninja.
when you work as a projectionist, you're not sitting in your armchair at home going, "Oh,
There is an armchair in the projection booth, which seemed a bit of a bad idea. Like, your responsibility is to make sure that changes over correctly. But I'll get a really comfortable chair in a room that's air conditioned and nice and noisy. So yeah, that's good. And I watched Poltergeist today, the remake.
Yeah.
Terrible film.
Yeah, I could have predicted that, to be fair.
Well, do you know what? There's a guy I work with called Adam, and he saw it last night.
Right.
And I said,
He
was
did
it any
warn you.
good? And he went, oh, it's awful. It's just really bad. I was like, I really like the original. Did you like the original? He goes, yeah, I love the original. And I was like, still nothing? I went, "Mm." So we went through, I went for a checklist of things that were in the original.
Yeah.
Like, is that in there? And he went, yeah. I went, is that in there? Yeah. Is that in there? Yeah. Okay. Are any of them done as well as the original? I went, no. Have you seen the original?
A long time ago.
Obviously, the most famous thing is when Carol Ann has her hands on
With
the
the
TV,
TV.
turns around and says, they're here.
Yep.
This one, she just goes, they're here. Oh, no, you ruined the delivery. I mean, obviously, don't copy the line delivery,
Yeah.
but put a certain amount of
Something like that, you're almost better off copying it, though. It's so iconic. You might as well just
The bit that was-
do the nod.
The bit that was really
and do
good with this is in the original, it's a tiny little TV because it was the 80s.
Yeah.
This is a massive, 60-inch flat
Yeah.
screen TV. So there's loads of hands coming all over this TV.
Yeah.
And it was a really. There are lots of moments where it gets close to being brilliant, but it just then ruins it every single time. And it looks like it had a really good budget, but then they spent it all on cake or something because there's
Well,
some
yeah, that's a
there's
good
some
place to
effects
spend
that
it.
are amazing, and then the clown from the first one in the kid's bedroom. So
Right.
he's looking under the bed, isn't he? And then he comes up and he's on the bed. They kind of do that without a bed.
Right.
But that rule of
He's just standing in the middle of the room.
well, sort of. In the original, there's a clown, and it's just a toy. In this one, he hears a noise, so he pulls this pull string in his cupboard, and then a load of toys fall down.
Right.
There's a box of clowns.
Right.
And the dad says, "Who has a box of clowns?" And in my head, I went, "A producer desperately needing a scare." So instead of just one clown, there's then a whole load of clowns moving around, and one of them has got a pull nose that goes up, and then when it gets there, it goes, and then jumps on the kid. But I just thought, wasn't as scary as the first one.
Yeah.
Wasn't as scary as The Hole by Joe Dante. There's a very creepy clown in that. But yeah, even though I had very low expectations, like my rule of I try and have as low expectations, I expected it to be rubbish. I was told it was rubbish. I watched it and it still seemed to be rubbish. But there were times where I did smile wryly. That's it.
Yeah.
It's
When it
not-
finished and you knew you could go home.
well, it's not a complete. No, there's a mid-credit sequence as well that confused the hell out of me.
Right.
I couldn't work out what was going on. I got very confused.
Yeah.
I need to Google it tonight and find out. How terrible it is when a film. If you're into film, you shouldn't need to have somebody explain what that meant.
Yeah.
There's a bit that left me thinking, wait, what? How is that possible? That makes no sense at all. It was almost played for laughs, but it would have been funny if everybody hadn't just gone. But what? It was just so not in line with what you just watched. It was very bizarre. But like I said, it has moments where it's okay, but do wait for the DVD release. Or Blu-ray, or Skybox Office, or pirate it. Don't pirate
Or
it.
just don't watch it.
Go to your local independent cinema and watch it, but go and drink some beer. You'll
I'd
probably
rather
enjoy
go
it.
and watch something else at my local independent cinema.
Yeah, Jurassic World.
Yeah,
obviously.
exactly.
Or I'll tell you what else is very good.
Mad Max.
Mad Max is obviously, which we should have really talked about in our Wasteland special, but
I haven't watched
neither
it.
of
I've
us
been
have
waiting
seen
for it
it.
to come onto the Lux. Yeah.
It's not coming to the Lux, unfortunately.
No?
No.
They're hoping June. Oh.
Yeah, it's Universal
Right.
have forced us to show Jurassic Park entirely for 2 weeks. 4 showings a day, every day.
That's not the first time that's happened, though. It happened with Warhorse.
Yeah, if you want a big release at release, you have to give up your cinema.
Yeah.
If you're independent, that's how it works. If you're a big chain, you can
You're
do
fine.
what
You put it on screen one and carry on.
So there is a chance that we'll have it for a weekend or something.
Yeah,
but
good.
at the moment, it's.
I'll wait for that weekend.
Yeah, and if not, I'm quite happy to see
Pirate
it
it.
later. I've heard amazing things there. I might have to go and see it somewhere else. Might go to the Majestic or something.
Yeah.
If they're showing it.
Holocaust night out.
Yeah, I don't really want to go to the light, but if it is only at the light, then maybe I'd have to go over there and just all the way through and go, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Look at that. Just with my name badge on from work. Just go, oh, it's shit here. Shit. You know what I think's good? The Lux.
Yeah.
I like the place so much, I got a job there.
Hey.
Brah. Anyway, I'm going to get off because it's getting quite cold now.
Yeah.
It is getting quite chilly. Recording in the garden's nice,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think maybe back at mine next week. Or inside or something.
Because your house is never freezing cold.
My house is at least freezing cold, but there's no wind.
Yeah.
So
That
this has been nice.
Depends what you've had to eat.
Quite like this. We should get like a fire, like put a fire in that.
Yeah, Emma did say like the chimney. The problem is it then goes for hours.
Well, so do we sometimes.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Because we're manly man. We
Manly
go
man,
for
blah,
hours.
blah, blah.
Anyways, right. Firstly, apologies for last week where I named the episode 21.
Yep.
It wasn't episode 21. This is episode 21.
It is.
So if you got confused by the fact that episode 21, this episode will be called the real episode 21.
Yep.
All your other episode 21s are just imitating.
Yep.
Then
There's got a title.
you're the real episode 21, please stand up.
Yeah.
So apologies for that. Also, cautionary tale, Postman Gav
Yeah.
let me know last week that his bank card, his wife went to get some shopping,
Yeah.
and his credit card had been blocked.
Okay.
It turned out he'd signed up for so many promotions on Tapjoy to get
Right.
free credits for Star Wars trading cards,
Right.
his bank had marked it for fraud. So
Right.
if you are thinking of playing Star Wars Card Collector, and at the moment there's not much of an incentive to get involved in it because they keep bringing out a new set every day at the
Yeah,
moment.
pretty much.
But if you are tempted to, don't sign up for loads of things on Tapjoy because you'll just end up with your card being blocked and a wife who's quite annoyed with you about it. And it's just digital Star Wars. It's not worth fraud indictment.
It's a little bit hilarious.
It is.
Sorry, Gav, it's a little bit hilarious.
When he told me, I thought, that's going in the show.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's somewhat embarrassing. That's definitely going in the show. So yeah, if you want to do it, just do it carefully. Rating reviewers on iTunes. We've had a couple of new reviews on iTunes over the last couple of weeks.
Lovely.
We
Lovely
always like
stuff.
those.
You do.
Especially now that the format's starting to settle in. It'd be good to have something else. And also on Stitcher, on Stitcher, or on Spreaker. You can like a show on there.
You can follow the show on Spreaker.
You certainly can. You can tweet us at We Are the Lolocourse for letter R there.
Yep.
You follow me at Bouncy with an H after second B.
And follow me at Rob McGregor 35.
You can also follow Mark and Dalek at XBLA Silicam and at The Voice of Sex. Obviously, they will be back for 2 blockers soon. I think Mark's in Ibiza at the moment doing a stag do thing.
Something like that.
So he did enjoy the Fallout trailer though.
Yes.
He did. As everybody should.
Well, yeah.
If you didn't enjoy it, then you're probably there's something wrong
you
with
are
you.
wrong.
So that's it from us and the garden.
Yeah.
Well, we might be back here another time. I like the palette you've turned into planters.
Yeah. And there's another one
Quite
behind you. We store Emma's wood for a chimney and things in.
Ah, chimney.
Chimney. That's the thing you get pointed at going, we should have lit that.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
A chimney.
Chimney.
It's got grapes on it. Why?
Yeah. It's a Roman thing, I think. I don't know.
Romans had lots of
Had
patio.
chimneys, yeah.
They recorded podcasts outside, so they needed a metal thing.
It is.
Oh, well, you learn something every day. Right, we will see you next week, boys and girls. Ta-da!
Bye.